Hello, and tonight we are going to be talking about CIA Document RDP96-00788-R00170023-7, and it is entitled The Gateway Program. And I'm bringing this up because there has been a lot of online chatter about this recently, and I'm air quoting that, recently released CIA document where they purport that if you repeat the number 55515, it will help relieve physical pain. But we are going to dig into that and more tonight on Thursday Night Live. Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into this show tonight. So I would repeat that CIA document number, but it is way too long. But again, it is tied to the Gateway Program. And so what is in this document are a number of exercises and instructions for creating altered states of consciousness, out-of-bodies experiences, remote viewing, and hemisphere syncing of your brain. I can't say that word right in this moment. And so this document was part of the CIA's arsenal, and it was used for projects like Project Stargate, which was their remote viewing program. The contents of this document bring up things, and I'm going to read parts of it to you. Bring up things like how to breathe, breathing techniques, energy tools, and remote viewing exercises. It was first classified by the government in 1977, and why I air quoted the release date that it was recent, but upon research, I discovered that it was actually released in 2003. And it's interesting, and I don't really understand this part, but it was classified by the CIA because they were researching into psychic phenomena. And so they used it for intelligence purposes. And it was released because none of the documentation that was tied to what they used it for, or the Stargate program, or any other alternate states of consciousness programs they use it for, were never released, but this document was released. Interestingly, the program was developed by the Monroe Institute and was purchased by and classified by the CIA. And in a very weird state of events, the same document was also available to the public for use. So I don't know how the CIA could classify a document that was still readily available to the public, but apparently that's a fact. And so, again, at that point in time, they were really interested in remote viewing. And in the 70s, there was a lot of other programs and other material that was coming out about altered states of consciousness, psychic abilities, remote viewing, including like the Seth materials, the Silva method, this Gateway program. The Monroe Institute, one of the things they're famous for is working with people in order to achieve out-of-body experiences. That's what I know them for. And also during that time was when my alma mater, the Berkeley Psychic Institute, came into being. And so I'm going to talk about the document. I'm going to read some quotes from the document, but I want to just touch on the concept of remote viewing. And so remote viewing is where someone goes into a semi-trance state and is given a target. And so they are not given like go look at this thing, like go spy on the Kremlin. They're given like a number thing, like 61XB52. That's their target. And what that target is associated with, they're not giving information about. And so they're supposed to use their inner awareness to go to that location, whether it's about a person, a place, or a thing. Again, they don't have any information, and do an assessment. And so there are books available, online, PDFs, free online, that actually teach you how to do remote viewing. And it is a very strict and stylized form of, I'm going to say, doing a psychic reading. So when I do my readings, they just they come out. Where with remote viewing, it's, well, where is your impression of this place? What does it look like? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it warm? Is it cold? And they ask there's an outline, a very specific formula that you follow. And then the person you're working with takes these notes down. And so they usually don't come up with an answer like, oh, well, you're at the Kremlin, or you're talking about this person, but they will give a description so that, or draw pictures or whatever, so that you get the answer. But again, it's very rigid. I think it does work. I think it can and does work if you are able to get into that place and access that information. So with that said, so I started reviewing this document, and it's literally 22 pages. And well, actually, I'm going to back up. So what got me interested in this thing in the first place, because on X, there were people putting up, it's like, oh, well, you can reduce pain by repeating the number 55515. And I'm like, huh? I mean, like the number 55515 has any kind of significance to anything in the world. But if you take a step back, the technique of repeating a number, AKA repeating an affirmation, AKA taking your mind off of your pain and focusing it in on this number, could help to reduce pain. And so that was how I got into it, was because, I'm sorry, we've talked about the law of attraction and people making vision boards about, oh, well, if I make this vision board, these things are going to happen. Or if I do this, these things are going to happen. But they don't understand the underlying piece of it, where they need to own and believe and move out their own negative thinking, their own self-limiting thinking that is happening at the same time. Like, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. I want $1 million. So this is what your board is about. This is all what you want. But on the inside, you're going, I'm never going to get $1 million. Who's going to give me $1 million? How am I going to get $1 million? Which totally defeats the purpose of doing the exercise in the first place. Or you're not understanding the exercise. You need to get rid of that thinking in order for this thinking to work. And so that was where my brain was going. But then I very easily, well, not very easily, I had to actually use that CIA document number to find it, because if you look up the Gateway Project online, you don't find the document. But if you put that number in, it will come up. So I'm just going to read through some of the stuff. I mean, many of you have been listening to this show for a long time, and we've covered so many topics that some of this will just sound elementary to you, or you will recall me saying something about this at one point in time or another. And so it starts with a couple of affirmations. The first one is really long, so I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to read the second one. So this is the second affirmation. Sorry, putting glasses on. Okay. I open this channel of communication only to those whose wisdom, knowledge, development, and experience is equal or greater than my own. I restrict such contact and communication to constructive purposes and reject all others. I open such channel only when I consciously desire, and all other times it will remain closed. And it's like, oh, so you don't want to bring in any entities because you don't know what you're doing. So I found that one interesting. But this is how you start. As you start each exercise, this is what it tells you. Now, tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. Do your resonant breathing exercise. Inhale deeply. Pull in energy from all parts of your body up to and then into your head. Hold your breath for a comfortable length of time, eventually holding it to the count of 10, swirling the energy around in your brain. Then exhale slowly through your mouth as though you were slowly and easily blowing out a candle. At the same time, imagine that you're expelling stale state, used up energy through the bottoms of your feet. After the first inhale, exhale, your brain is filled with this new, fresh energy. And it goes on. But I'm like, okay, well, that's a pretty basic meditation technique. So, and it goes on and kind of gives tools on creating an energy toolbar that they utilize in some of their exercises to balance, cleanse, and recharge emotional body map. And it says, use bright purple energy from your EMB, and that is your energy toolbar that you created earlier, to charge any parts which are dim and flickering. Look for any parts which are unusually bright. Use the EBT and its purple healing, cleansing, and recharging energy to equalize and balance, making the EMB evenly bright, calm, strong, and serene. Okay, so if you do any kind of energy work, that's a pretty basic concept there. But then it goes on and it has like these images of like resonant breathing exercise, and it has like this stick guy. The pictures are terrible. How's that? The pictures are just terrible. Okay, but here, this is the part I was talking about. Okay, so to reduce pain signals, look with your closed eyes at the part of your body which is the source of pain signals. As you look, repeat in your mind the number 55515. When you do these two things, the pain signals will slowly reduce until they are no longer important. Okay, pregnant pause there. It's like, yeah, they're reducing because you're repeating the number 55515, focusing your energy, that one brain slot, to that number. And then it says to go into a normal, natural, restful sleep, lie down in a comfortable position, breathe deeply 5 times, and count from 1 to 20. Before you reach the count of 20, you will go into a normal, restful sleep. Okay. This is to reduce emotional charge. Close your eyes, inhale deeply, hold breath for a moment, then think of the calming, cleansing color green. So green is a healing color. When you do this, exhale slowly, and the green energy will push all the excess and harmful emotional charges down through your physical system and out through the soles of your feet. Okay. Maybe a little color therapy going on. And this is to charge your body for great speed and strength. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Think of the physical act to be performed and the strong energy of red. So red is energizing and energizing and activating. Okay, so so you're thinking of this strong energy of red. As you exhale, open your eyes and perform the act you wish to accomplish. It's like, okay, and then it has like more techniques and stuff. And I just found it really interesting that there are people that are going, oh, well, I should just say this number 55515, or I should. And then there's the other part. So there's the part that it's like, okay, you read this and you think it's going to work, but it's not really going to work because you're not really understanding the intention of it. But then there's the other part that I find the more annoying, like making me go, why did they classify this document? Because everything that they discuss in here are techniques that were well known in the 70s and ones that have been practiced for thousands of years. And I find it funny because every so often it's like, researchers have found, this document has found, and my knee-jerk response is, go to a metaphysical bookstore and you can find all kinds of material and all kinds of data related to this same exact topic that people have been writing on for years, possibly centuries, possibly for millennia. And you think you are creating this whole brand new thing. So again, why did the CIA classify this document? Because it's not saying anything that isn't out there readily available to anybody. Okay, hang on one sec. Okay, sorry about that. So how did you guys like Rayla McBride last week? Because I have another episode for you today. And I'm gonna drop it today. And please do go like him on YouTube. Excuse me. On YouTube, on Facebook, he has his own page, and on Twitter, except they're giving me a problem, but it's the Bark of Reason. And I would love for you to follow or subscribe or whatever, because, excuse me, because I already have 6 episodes in the can and a whole bunch of other stuff written up, ready to become videos. So here's Raylan McBride today.
You can't make this up. While living, breathing citizens are drowning under soaring inflation, the Federal Ledger reveals millions in educational credit lines have been handed out. To dead people, pure phantoms. A new institutional audit exposed that administrative departments approved thousands of payouts to applicants who were already in the grave. They didn't verify the data, they didn't cross-check public records, they just left the vault wide open for bad actors to rob the taxpayer using the identities of the deceased. Think about the pure incompetence required to fund a ghost roster. This systemic laziness is actively inflating the public ledger, introduction synthetic capital for phantom students, while hardworking, deserving families are denied real relief. If the system can't even check a pulse before cutting a check, it isn't just broken, it's a crime scene. Demand accountability before your future is buried completely. Signing off, I'm Raylan McBride. This is the Bark of Reason. Stay sharp, stay free, stay cool.
And that's this week's episode of the Bark of Reason that I'm sharing with you. But you can see I've already dropped 4. There's another one that's dropping tomorrow. And you can catch all of them, again, on YouTube at the Bark of Reason, on Facebook at the Bark of Reason, and then I'm going to say on TikTok at the Bark of Reason. But that platform is giving me a little bit of a problem. But I hope that you follow and you enjoy the content because it's been really fun to create. So before we change and move on, I just want to remind people, if they would like to schedule a private consultation with me, please go to my webpage, soulhealer.com. Okay, skip the live part, soulhealer.com, and drop me a note and we can set up a time for a private consultation. If you are listening to the show on a platform like Rumble or BitChute or any alternative platforms that I post this on, but you want to join the chat, the best place to go is YouTube, and my channel on YouTube is Just Energy Radio on YouTube, and I hope to see you there and that you join the fun.